So if you don't remember, when Marathon, got canceled, not really canceled, but when people got mad at it and then they delayed it and then they said, well, we think it's coming at the beginning of 2026. One of the rumors is the reason why some of this was going on is because Sony was trying to take Bungie leadership out and take over their studio, which as a whole is probably a good thing. Main reason being that if you watched any documentaries about Bungie, their leadership has been an absolute disaster for a very long time, like very, very long time. And they've wanted it to be fixed and they haven't figured out a way to do it. And Sony is seemingly trying to do that. Now, we got a video here by Aztecross. He covers a lot of Bungie, Destiny kind of stuff. He's been covering Battlefield 6, shooters in general. And I'm curious what he has to say about what's going on with this. And if you haven't heard this news yet, it's pretty interesting.
Be reading today. Sony has seen enough. 3 years after acquiring Bungie, Sony says the days of independence are getting lighter and its future is to become part of PlayStation Studios. From Andy Chalk right here. This was published 23 hours ago. Bungie was intended to operate as an independent subsidiary when it was acquired in 2022, but that hasn't worked out. Is Pete's Garage cooked? I don't know. Hold on, let's just read this. When Sony announced its intention to acquire Destiny 2 developer Bungie in January 2022 for an eye-watering
nearly $4 billion. Nearly $4 billion. That's how much Bungie was worth. And now their game's not even being released on time. Destiny 2's last update was super lackluster as far as player numbers, which means the money wasn't there. So needless to say, Sony's maybe regretting that purchase quite a lot.
$3.6 billion. It said the company would be an independent subsidiary under the direction of the studio's then current management team, and that it would remain a multi-platform studio with the option to self-publish and reach players wherever they choose to play. Destiny 2 seemed like a perpetual money machine after all, and Sony saw no reason to fix what wasn't broken. But fast forward through 3 very rough years for Bungie, and things aren't nearly so rosy. And now it seems that Sony has seen enough. As Sony Chief Financial Officer and Corporate Executive Officer Lin Tao said during the company's recent quarterly earnings call that those days of independence are coming to an end. Oh man. Okay, I actually had not tuned in for this. Okay, so quotes, at the time of acquisition, we were offering a very independent environment. So that was one way of thinking, Tao said.
So there's 2 ways that Sony can buy a company. Number one, they buy the company, leave it as it is. They kind of take on the publishing and they let the studio do what they do. And with a little bit of oversight, come in, check it out, be like, good job, maybe fix this, that kind of thing. Or they can pretty much do a full takeover, and they let them go at first, and now the full takeover is coming.
In response to a question about Bungie's future governance via Seeking Alpha, translated from Japanese. However, thereafter, we have gone through structural reform as we announced last year. So from this type of independence, this independence is getting lighter. So Bungie is shifting into a role which is becoming more a part of PlayStation Studio, and integration is also proceeding. So in the long term, if you could see this as an ongoing process, the direction is to become part of PlayStation
There
Studios.
it is.
All right, guys, talk to me here. I'm not like overly familiar with like how Sony's inner working is with their other subsidiaries. Give me an example on this. Santa Monica, is that part of PlayStation Studios or is it independent?
PlayStation.
I got you. So Santa Monica, part of PlayStation Studios. All right, so how much of a practical impact that will have on Bungie's future is an open question. Sony has already carved off some pieces of Bungie and brought them under the PlayStation umbrella with little visible effect, and I could see it being pressed into more of a live service mercenary role for other Sony studios who need help on that front. Bungie CEO Pete Parsons, the car guy.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the reason why he's the car guy is because he did something shady and he has a bunch of really expensive cars. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God. It's still in this position, but that could change as well once the studio is fully assimilated. Overall, though, it's quite possible that from an outside perspective, Bungie will continue to lumber along more or less as it always has. Sony is basically a PC publisher now, so the likelihood of long waits for PlayStation.
So if you didn't see this, Sony actually put out a job posting to do exactly what Xbox is doing. In other words, to publish their games onto Steam, onto Xbox, and onto these other areas, just like Xbox is doing, which is counterintuitive to what they said that they were going to do, where they're still going to put out their exclusives well in advance, like a year before they move to PC.
Exclusive windows on Bungie games to expire seems very unlikely. Gummy Bears, which I believe was going to be a MOBA, and if you're wondering why was Bungie making a MOBA, quite frankly, they have a ton of experience in making MOBAs. So it was a no-brainer. Anyways, Gummy Bears got moved from Bungie to Sony. And so we could see,
I didn't even know they were making a
other
MOBA.
things move to Sony. Maybe Marathon. Maybe Marathon ends up getting swallowed by Sony. By the way, that's sarcasm. Bungie's never made a fucking MOBA in their life. I have no idea why they were making a MOBA. Look, 2020 was like heroin for game developers. All right.
Yep.
Everybody was on the internet. Everybody thought that this shit was gonna last. People were getting
Okay,
damn
whoa.
PvP.
Everyone did not think this shit was gonna last. No one, anyone with any brains would have known this many people aren't gonna stay online forever. And a bunch of stupid investors screwed themselves, and now they're scrambling to fix
Phones
it.
out the ass. Big companies were able to get just tons of capital. What did these companies do? Or in Bungie's situation, they decided to make 4 or 5 different other games. Regardless of what results, this outcome feels inevitable. Bungie's struggles with Destiny 2 in recent years have been well documented and have led to public dissatisfaction from Sony. In 2024, PlayStation chairman
This guy's got the coolest name in the world. Hiroki Totoki.
Totiki called for more accountability from Bungie leadership on development budgets and deadlines. The studio's public image has taken big hits over the layoffs at the studio that have reportedly left employee morale in free fall, while controversies over stolen assets, endless bugs of Destiny 2, and a seeming inability to do anything with Marathon have left Bungie looking like a studio that's simply incapable of managing its own affairs.
Which, if you go back, I'll try to link it. I will try to link the video in the description of this one. I did a deep dive on what happened to Bungie. We watched a video on it, and it's just the management. The management has been messed up for years and years.
Destiny 2: The Edge of Fate expansion, which Bungie desperately needed to be a hit, was instead a catastrophe to the point that PC gamers Tim Clark, a man who once ignored multiple tornado warnings so he could finish a raid, wrote that he is worried for both the future of the game and its studio.
Whoever wrote this article, the little details that he puts in, like calling the guy at PlayStation the car guy and putting the streamer that avoided tornado warnings to keep playing, like just little details like that are kind of hilarious.
Yes, which I guess to most of you would say that's all that matters. Keep in mind, Destiny 2's numbers were fantastic, the best it was ever, right? We had so many people playing Destiny 2 at launch, but core players, we hated it. We thought it was terrible. Edge of Fate is definitely no like final shape, and it's the start of this new saga, but it's a pullback in the budget, and we're getting like these 2 expansions per year. But I don't think that Destiny 2 is going to do the numbers.
And I think Call of Duty's bad with an update every 2 months.
Definitely not going to be able to do the numbers to support Marathon and 2-3 other games in incubation. It should never have even been pushed in a corner to do that. Why Bungie didn't just completely commit there to Destiny, I have no idea, dude. I wonder if Sony
I think you could have done Destiny with one other game, but adding extras is stupid.
You know what I mean? They're like, hey, Destiny's printing money, make more Destiny. You know what I'm saying? I suppose that's one upside to all of this. Unlike, say, Firewalk Studios, Bungie is a big name with a long history, and it will survive. But in what form exactly and where its future will lead is anyone's guess. So let me just say this. Yes, it's very likely that Sony will, in fact, pretty much take over all of Bungie, but they're not going to let the Bungie name die.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? My concern is this. Like, what if Sony does make a Destiny 3, but then they put it exclusively on PlayStation? Fine.
They won't do that. It would be a stupid move.
God. I would think that would be incredibly foolish to do, especially considering the fact that they have had great success with Helldivers.
Yes,
You're
great point.
baiting? Hey man, look, exclusives are a thing. They are a thing, dude. Not anymore. Oh, really? What's the next Spider-Man game going to be on? Fucking exactly. Helldivers seem like they only had like a deal for a couple years with them. No, not just console only. Sony. Look. Sony and Nintendo. Nintendo is like, they way gone. They are team exclusives. Nintendo will retain their same strategy
forever.
Until I am gray and old, dead and gone. They will never.
You're never going to see a Mario game on PC.
Zelda will only be coming out for fucking Nintendo, especially at launch, for the rest of our lives.
100%.
Sony, in some capacity, is the exact same way with a lot of their exclusives. Nintendo's dog shit. Fuck them. Listen, I get all of us right now. We're all like, fuck you, Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? You're dog with your exclusives. But man, all they have to do is drop me another Zelda trailer. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Nintendo Switch 2, here we come. I'm
It's
buying
true.
that shit.
It's true.
Okay? I'm playing it. It's just that fucking good. When you got a game's that damn good and they're only on one platform, I'm going to do it, man. Look, we get a lot of stupid comments in here all the time. For instance, everyone just goes $3.6 billion cross. It's no big deal. It's a tax write-off. Anyone that invests in anything, you like to see it grow. And I can tell you right now, this has turned into a major headache for Sony.
Also, when it doesn't grow, they get less investments because their numbers get worse and people start to question things, which means a lot of companies' growth is just based off of investors and stocks and things like that. Not necessarily off of what they make, but they have to make the good things in order to get the investments. So when they see, oh, this investment didn't pay out, people pull out, people stop investing, money stops going in, and then it's harder to make money off of that as well.
Sony probably would have loved for Bungie to operate independently, to continue making lots of money.
Yeah, it would have been easier
and
for them.
More so than that, they would have secured this live service sector that they so desperately wanted at least 4 or 5 years ago, while also keeping Bungie from possibly slipping back into Xbox's hands. Granted, I didn't think that was going to happen because Xbox and Bungie broke up years ago. And even Xbox had called out that Bungie has an incredibly high burn rate. So it didn't seem like Xbox was going to be jumping back into that. Can I just say this? I still like Destiny. I still have fun playing Destiny. And for what it's worth, I think their tier system for their loot is good. And we'll see what shakes out with Ash and Iron. I think Destiny 3 would have been a very easy setup following Final Shape.
It would have made way more sense.
But I would still like to see the Fate saga play out. I just feel like Marathon is truly dragging the whole fucking ship down. And this is not me trying to hate.
What they need to do, if I was Sony, this is what I would do, is I would say, they would, you're going to think I'm an idiot. You're going to think I'm an idiot. You delay Marathon again, but you stop working on it. And you don't tell anyone you've stopped working on it. And then when it gets closer to when that next delay is, you cut the whole thing. And you say, you get someone at Bungie or someone at PlayStation to go up on stage and say, we've dropped Marathon. Marathon will no longer be coming out. But here's why. And boom, you play a Destiny 3 trailer. And you say that this is coming out in 2 years. However, Destiny 2 will be fully supported the same way with expansions over the next 2 years. And then boom, you have Destiny 3. And that would take all of the narrative off of Marathon. Problem solved. Will they do that? Probably not, but that's how I would do it.
I just feel like that game has been taking so much focus and bringing with it so much bad press. Yeah. And it's just dragging.
Or just cancel it now and then work on.
To the point where I don't give a shit if it's good or bad. Just launch it next March. Just get it out there. Let the road have it. If it's great, if it's wonderful, fantastic. If it's not, cut your losses and go. Please, no Unreal Engine 5. Look, man, let me just say this. If everything moves under Sony, anything could happen, brother. Just remember, Gummy Bears is actually on Unreal, and that's now been moved under Sony. Who knows? Maybe they keep the Tiger engine. That's a behemoth of an undertaking to transfer everything over. But maybe it just depends on what Sony wants. Depends on what Sony wants. And right now, they're only going to make decisions that financially make sense to recoup their losses, obviously. Can I just say this? The engine is the least of our concerns right now. I know some of you are playing Destiny right now and they're like, but this bug and that bug. Okay. Right now, we gotta stack things up for like, what is it? The highest at the top of the board here for priority.
You have to remember, and this is going to be a thing with Halo too, because Halo's gone to Unreal Engine. The game's not going to feel the same anymore on a different engine. Now they can make it feel close, but it's not going to feel the same.
Getting Marathon out the door, priority number one, while simultaneously keeping and retaining Destiny's core player base. Right now, there's a clash of ideology on what Destiny needs to be. And by the way, we're just speaking from Destiny. Sony's not just thinking of Destiny here, even though that's the only thing that's making money. They're thinking of Marathon. I'm telling you, Marathon's the focus. Marathon is the focus. Getting Marathon out the door. But at the topic of Destiny, it's like, to me, and this comes back to the conversation we had yesterday, it's like, what does Destiny need to become? Does it need to go the route of this Diablo Path of Exile route, which is currently what we're going through? Does it need to go to what we wanted it to become a long time ago, which was this true MMO experience where you were running into the wild with tons and tons of other Guardians? And it's like this huge, I mean, at one point, I wanted Bungie or wanted Destiny to be Skyrim in the stores. And I would run up with other Guardians out and about, and there would just be this huge MMO experience, but we never really got there. But I'm telling you, in my opinion, reading this article, don't get me wrong. Like, I think Destiny is definitely playing a role in all of this, and its numbers not hitting what it was supposed to hit, whatever those numbers were supposed to hit. And I don't even know what the projected numbers were even, because I mean, you had to be a fool to think that the numbers would have exceeded Final Shape going into this next saga. The only thing that would have exceeded Final Shape's numbers is Destiny 3. And that is the foolish thing. In my opinion, Sony really should have sat down with Bungie years ago and goes, okay, what is the game plan? I'm talking like
they absolutely should have, but when they put so much pressure on the, well, not pressure, when they, I guess, didn't put pressure on the management of Bungie, they just said, do your thing. They should have sat down and said, when are we getting Destiny 3 and what is the plan before that?
Like back in 2021, Bungie, what is your game plan? Bungie goes, so listen, we're going to make Marathon. We're going to start 2 other incubation projects and can them. And we're going to make a game called Gummy Bears, which we really don't have the personnel to make. And you guys are going to absorb it by 2025. Marathon's going to be delayed twice. And Destiny is going to hit consecutive peaks. But for some unknown reason, we're going to continue to have layoffs after that, because that's how we want to reward our studio, is by laying off the people that allowed us to hit those new peaks. We're also not going to make a Destiny 3, which would make the most sense following the finale of the Final Shape. That's our business model. Look, and I know I'm going like way off here, but the point is, at what point in that conversation did Sony ever look at Bungie and say, is there a plan for a Destiny 3? Do you guys think after an expansion called the Final fucking Shape, should you probably do
anything
sequel, you know, even for marketing purposes? Because Final Shape sounds pretty final. All right, well, that's it, guys. Is Sony slowly?
I think that was the biggest thing. I think when it comes down to it, as far as Destiny is concerned, that's absolutely the final thing with it, is that you put out something that seems like the last thing. It's good. People are like, I'm done. Give me 3. And then they don't do it. And they're like, are we really going to keep caring about this? And then they don't. And then they're in this position. And really, I think they're screwed until they do a Destiny 3 is at this point. And they need to get rid of Marathon. He's right. And I think they just don't launch it. I think it'd be worse for the name of Bungie if they do. Just my opinion.